welcome to the In-Between-Man podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the how. How do we connect? How do we get engaged? How do we collaborate? How do we interact with the In-Between-Man podcast? And it's going to be short and it's going to be sweet. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time kind of going over what our next episode is going to be. But this is a final episode of my overall introduction to the podcast. The purpose behind the introduction really was to give you as the audience an understanding of who I am, what we are talking about, which happens to be the in-between, or why men are struggling today. Where can you find the content and how can you leverage it? And so we are on the how. So let's get into it. Just to backtrack a second, if you haven't listened to the Where podcast, I will put in this video a outline of the linktr service I use. So it's linktr.ee/thein-betweenman. Now I want to give you one address that will take you to all of the other social media and platforms that I use. And I wanted to break down for you today very quickly what those links are and what you can expect from clicking on those links. So let's just keep it real. So the first thing you'll see, or the first link that you'll see, is a link to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is essentially a video rendition of my audio podcast, a place where you can put a name to a face, a place where you can kind of see who's talking, get an idea of what Clint Eastwood and I like to do in our off time, things like that. And if you wanted to subscribe, of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you could there. And that's literally the first link that you'll see on Linktree. The second link, and I think probably the most important one, is a Discord link. And what I've done is I've created an invite link through Discord so that if you click on the Discord link in Linktree, it will take you to an invitation to join our private server for men only, to participate in a community setting with other like-minded men who have found the podcast and maybe looking for a place to communicate with other dudes, like the content, want to learn more. Like, the goal is to really grow Discord as a viable community for all of us, whether that be playing video games, whatever. We're going to discuss a lot of different things. We're going to have lives on Discord that will be exclusive to the private members. And then there'll be some screener questions that you have to answer in order to participate in the community. And they're relatively pretty simple. And I think we'll see that progress and grow as the podcast goes. The next link on Linktree is my X or Twitter account. And basically what I'm using Twitter for is to just engage the world, share my YouTube links on, share my podcast episodes on, have general comments about how men are doing in the marketplace, share information. I think we all know what Twitter is for and why we like it. And that'll be the place where that happens. Following the X or Twitter link is a TikTok link. That's going to be more of a place where I'm just going to post whatever I feel like it. Really, at the end of the day, it's a place where I can make videos and post stuff about the podcast, post stuff about Butchie, post stuff about the mundane day-to-day life that I have dealing with, staying sober, trying to live and doing the right thing, like those kind of things. It'll be a good place where we can just let it all hang out. Somewhere in between those two will be a link to my Buzzsprout webpage, which will just basically be a webpage of my podcast with all my podcasts being listed. It's relatively pretty simple, but that's there as well. And I would just say that if you're going to subscribe or get active anywhere, your first place to go to is the Discord link, because that's where I'm hoping we get a lot of interaction and communication started. Following that link will be a Medium link. If you're not familiar with Medium, it's basically just kind of like a place where people can publish content that they can share on various different topics: mental health awareness, sobriety, parenting, things like that. And that's where I go and post things that I want to post. It's a selfish place, right? Like for me, writing is a very it's a very stressless, relaxing part of my day, whether it be typing, whether it be writing things down. I'm constantly writing. I constantly go through competition books. I mean, here's a perfect example. I know you can't see it on the podcast, but there's a competition book. It's completely wide open and ready for me to go nuts on. And then last but not least, well, there's one more. I do have a subreddit account. I'm wondering whether or not I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to put it in there as well. Reddit and Discord are very much the same, although they're very different. And I think having a Discord community and a Reddit community might be overwhelming. I don't know, because I don't have both yet, but we'll put a placeholder in there for content and things that we can share. And then on the top of Linktree, I have a button you can click on to send me an email. You can send me an email to ask questions. You can send me an email to request topics. You can send me an email about, potential guests, collaborations, any of that stuff. I'm always open to having those types of conversations. So that's really it for the how and breaking down what all these platforms mean for me and for this podcast and for you ultimately. So I'll be real brief here, because I want to make sure that, being that next week, or maybe before the end of this week, my first episode is going to be talking about the traditional male value system and where it came from, how it got started, what it means, who's in charge of it, what are some of the values that are attached to the traditional male value system. Do you agree with those values? Do you not agree with those values? Right? Like, let's break down how we as men are being judged by society, by different cultures, by the business world, the economic world. And let's really understand what is being said, how is it being said, and how are you digesting or taking in that information, and do you agree with it? Because when you think about what we're trying to understand here and try to uncover, which is the question of why are men struggling today, I think the traditional male value system, in my opinion, has some gaps that we should consider trying to fill, or at least bring up and discuss to see whether or not you still think that they're valid, whatever they happen to be. We'll get into more details of that next week, but that's what we're going to talk about. And we'll probably talk about it for a couple different episodes, because there's a number of different areas that will vacillate in between them. Areas that we don't have a lot of control over, and then there are areas that we have a lot of control over. And the areas that we don't have a lot of control over today are the areas that I just mentioned. Society, right? Societal, cultural, economics. There's a lot of things that are happening in the marketplace with regards to men that impact how we engage with those three areas in our life. And then the other component is, what can you do and how, and do you want to do anything about it? I mean, candidly, you may want to learn as much as you want to learn, but as far as actually doing the work, that might not be something you're open to. And I totally get that. And I'm not judging you for not wanting to do that. It's extremely hard, and I struggle with this concept on a daily basis. I'm far from perfect. I'm far from an expert. I fall on my face every single day, and I'm not claiming to be the GOAT of what we're talking about. I want to get the word out, and I want to start a conversation about how we can talk about changing the narrative in areas that we have little control over, and then provide at least one option to a community of men who may be seeking to improve on their own personally, in whatever capacity that means, personal growth. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to make it short and sweet. I'm going to tell you that the In Between podcast was ranked last week number 17 on the most listened to podcasts under mental health in the country of Ireland. Way to go, the Irish. Luck of the Irish. And this week we went down to number 65, but I got an email saying that that's where we were, and I was absolutely dumbfounded. So someone in Ireland is identifying with what we're talking about, or at least listening to it. Keep coming, man. I want you guys here. I'm Irish. Get on board. Put down the Guinness. Oh, do I remember the Guinness days? I won't bore you with the madness. All right, gang. I'm glad you stopped by. Check out the Linktree address. It's linktr.ee /theinbetweenman. All in one word. I'll catch you on the next one.